I was sitting in my armchair when they walked in. My son, Robert, and that woman of his, Bridget, carrying empty cardboard boxes and black trash bags. Big ones, lots of them. I could still smell the coffee I'd made that morning. I still thought it was a normal Saturday. It had been 3 months since my Teresa passed away. 3 months of looking at her things and not being able to touch anything. The house was exactly as she'd left it. I didn't want to move a single thing. I needed to feel her there. "We came to do some cleaning, Dad," Robert said with a smile I didn't recognize. In 4 hours, there was nothing left. Not the curtains Teresa sewed, not my father's clock, not even my wedding photo. They took everything. And I stood there, paralyzed in the middle of the empty living room, not understanding what had just happened. But they didn't know the security camera had recorded every second, every word, every betrayal. If this story touches your soul, subscribe. Every day I share a story that could be yours, your father's, or someone you love. Tell me in the comments where you are listening from. My name is Frank Reynolds. I am 68 years old. I was a carpenter for 42 years until my hands gave out. Now I am sitting on the floor of my own living room. Empty. Completely empty. It is 8 o'clock in the evening on Saturday, and the walls have lighter spots where the pictures used to hang. Perfect rectangles that look like open wounds on the yellow paint. I run my hand across the cold floor and feel the accumulated grime where the red carpet with embroidered flowers used to be. The one Teresa bought 15 years ago at a market in Queens. The one I hated, but that she defended as if it were a treasure. It is gone now, like everything else. And here I am, trying to understand how my own flesh and blood did this to me. This morning at 10 o'clock, I was drinking coffee when the doorbell rang. I opened it, and there was Robert with that smile that lately gives me distrust. "Dad, how are you this morning?" He hugged me tight, too tight. Behind him came Bridget, arms crossed, looking at my house as if it were a dump. "Hello, Mr. Reynolds," she said without smiling. She never smiles. In 5 years of marriage to my son, I've never seen her truly smile. Robert was carrying folded cardboard boxes under his arm. "Dad, we need to talk," he said, gently pushing me inside. And I let them in, as always, because you never close the door on a son, though maybe I should have. "Dad, look at this," Robert said, pointing around the living room. "Everything is neglected. Dust everywhere. Mom's things are still scattered around. This isn't healthy." I looked around. Yes, there was dust. Yes, Teresa's things were still where she left them. Her knitting half finished on the sofa, her magazines piled next to the end table, her pink slippers by the door. "It doesn't bother me," I told him, and it was true. Those things made me feel like Teresa still lived here. That any moment she would come out of the kitchen wiping her hands on her apron. Bridget let out a dry laugh. "Mr. Reynolds, you are living in a museum. This is no life." And she pulled the black trash bags out of her purse. Large, industrial bags, the size they use for construction cleanup. "We're here to help you clean up, Dad, to organize, so you can start living like a normal person again." Robert was already assembling the boxes, quickly, as if he had practiced. "I don't need any help, son," I said, trying to sound firm, but my voice came out shaky. "I can do it myself when I'm ready." Bridget was already in the bedroom. I heard her open the wardrobe, the one I made with my own hands for Teresa when we got married. The sound of the wooden doors creaking pierced my chest. "Wait!" I shouted. Robert placed a hand on my shoulder. "Dad, sit down, rest. We'll take care of it, trust me." And I, like an idiot, sat down, in my armchair, the one my father gave me, the one Teresa reupholstered 3 times because I didn't want to throw it out. I sat there and watched them move through my house like vultures. Teresa kept everything spotless. Every Saturday she cleaned every item in its place. She said that clutter stole her peace, and now I understand she was right. Because without that order, I feel lost. But I can't do it. I can't touch her things and put them away as if they didn't matter, as if she hadn't existed. Every object has her voice, her scent, her memory, and I am not ready for the silence. Does this still work, Dad? Robert held up the blue vase my mother gave me before she died, the one with a crack in the rim, the one Teresa filled with flowers every Sunday. Yes, it works, I said, getting up. Robert, do not touch that vase. He looked at it, weighed it in his hand. It's broken, Dad. It is not broken. It has a crack. It's different. He sighed, wrapped it in newspaper, and put it in a box. Robert, I told you no. Dad, we can't keep broken things. And he kept packing. I stood there, my hands trembling, wanting to snatch it back. But I didn't. Because something in his eyes stopped me. Something cold. Something I had never seen in my son before. Bridget came out of the bedroom carrying a bundle of clothes. Teresa's clothes, her dresses, her sweaters, the ones that still smelled like her. No, I yelled. I ran toward her. Do not touch those clothes. Bridget didn't even stop. Mr. Reynolds, these clothes are no good anymore. They're old, out of style. No one is going to use them. I don't want anyone to use them. I want them to stay where they are. I grabbed the bag. She pulled. I pulled. The fabric tore. A light blue dress fell to the floor. The dress Teresa wore on our 40th anniversary. I picked it up. I clutched it to my chest. And Bridget looked at me as if I were garbage. Robert, your dad is not well, she said. And Robert came. He took the dress away from me, gently but firmly. Dad, calm down. This is for your own good. Everything sped up then. In 30 minutes, they emptied the living room. In an hour, the dining room was bare. I tried to stop them, but it was like trying to stop an avalanche with my bare hands. Bridget was shouting orders. That too! Not that! That is hideous! Robert obeyed, like a soldier, as if I wasn't even there. I watched the curtains Teresa sewed by hand pass by, the lamp we bought on our trip to Miami, the china plates that belonged to her grandmother, the books I read aloud when she washed the dishes. Everything in bags, everything disappearing. And I stood in the middle of the hurricane, unable to do anything, feeling smaller and smaller, more invisible, more dead. It was when they took out the wardrobe that something broke inside me. I saw it pass through the door, that piece of furniture that took me 2 months to make, that I carved with rose designs because they were Teresa's favorite flowers, that I varnished 6 times until it was perfect. I saw it leave my house in the arms of Robert and a guy I had never seen before. A guy Bridget must have called. Robert, I shouted with a voice I didn't recognize. He stopped. He looked at me. What, Dad? That wardrobe is not leaving this house. Dad, it doesn't fit into your life anymore. I decided that it fits into my life. No, Dad, you don't decide anything anymore. Because you're not well and someone has to take care of you, even if you don't want it. And he kept walking. And I stayed there, with those words stabbed into my chest. You don't decide anything anymore. My own son, my own blood, telling me I was no longer the owner of my own life. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there was almost nothing left. Only the large pieces of furniture that wouldn't fit in the moving van Bridget had rented. A moving van. They had planned this. It wasn't spontaneous. They brought a van and boxes and industrial bags. This was calculated, planned, and I never saw it coming. Robert came to say goodbye, sweaty, tired. "All done, Dad. That's it. Now you can start over. Clean slate, no ties to the past." I looked at him, and I searched in his eyes for the child he used to be, the one I hugged when he had nightmares, the one who cried when he fell off his bike. I didn't find him. There was only a stranger. "Where's my father's clock?" I asked him. He frowned. "What clock?" "The wall clock, the one that chimed the hours." "Oh. That one didn't work. I threw it away. It worked perfectly. I wound it every Sunday." He shrugged. "It doesn't matter anymore, Dad. It's gone." They left at 3 o'clock. I watched them get into the van loaded with my life, with 43 years of marriage packed into boxes and bags. Bridget was at the wheel. Robert was in the passenger seat looking at his phone. He didn't even say goodbye. He didn't even turn around. And when they drove away, I closed the door. I turned around, and I saw the emptiness. The bare walls, the cold floor, the silence that hurt my ears. And it was then, when I looked up, that I saw it, the security camera in the corner of the ceiling, the little red light blinking, still on, still recording. And something in my chest stirred, small, fragile, but real. That camera had recorded everything, every box, every word, every lie. And somehow, that meant I wasn't crazy, that this had really happened, and that maybe, just maybe, there was a way to prove it. On Monday morning, I woke up sprawled on the floor of my bedroom. No mattress, no sheets, just an old blanket I found crumpled in the linen closet. The only place they didn't touch. Maybe because there was nothing to steal there, or maybe they just forgot. I woke up with my body aching, my back stiff, my knees swollen. I am 68 years old. I can't sleep on the floor. But I had no choice. I got up slowly. Every movement was an effort. I looked around for something, anything, a trace that my life had existed there. But there was nothing, only empty walls and the echo of my footsteps. I went to the kitchen. I opened the cupboard. Empty. The refrigerator. Empty. They had even taken the food, even the rice, even the salt. Everything. I made a watery coffee with the last bit left in the jar. I didn't even have sugar. I drank it black, sitting on the kitchen floor, staring at the space where the table used to be. The table where Teresa and I had eaten breakfast together for 43 years. Where Robert did his homework when he was a child. Where we celebrated every birthday, every Thanksgiving, every New Year's Eve. It was gone, and as I drank that bitter coffee, I thought of something that chilled my blood. What if this isn't over? What if Robert wants more? What if he wants the house? This house is mine. I bought it with Teresa after saving for 10 years working double shifts at the carpentry shop. It's in my name, but what if he found a way? I needed to know. I needed to make sure my savings were safe. I arrived at the bank at 9 o'clock, the same branch where I've had an account for 30 years. The security guard greeted me. "Mr. Reynolds, how are you?" "Fine, Hector, thanks." I lied. I wasn't fine. But you don't tell your life story to the bank guard. There was a line. There's always a line on Mondays. I stood behind a woman arguing with her teenage son. I waited. 15 minutes. 20, 30. When I got to the teller window, the cashier recognized me. "Mr. Reynolds, good morning. How can I help you?" "I need to make a withdrawal, Lillian." "Of course, how much?" $200. She smiled, typed, and the smile faded. She typed again. She looked at me. "Mr. Reynolds, there's a problem." "What problem?" Your account is empty. The words took a while to reach me, as if they were coming from very far away. Empty? How? My voice sounded hoarse. Strange. Your account was emptied last Friday at 3:15 in the afternoon. A digital transfer. I didn't make any transfer. Sir, here it says it was authorized with your digital fingerprint and your personal PIN. She showed me the screen. There it was. Transfer of $36,000. Everything I had, everything I had saved in 40 years of work, transferred to an account I didn't recognize. That's not possible. I didn't authorize that. I wasn't here on Friday. Lillian got nervous. Mr. Reynolds, you need to speak to the manager. I can't help you with this. And she pressed a button, and the whole bank started looking at me. For 40 years, I was careful with every dollar. Teresa taught me, Frank, money doesn't grow on trees. And I listened to her. We save 20% of every paycheck. Without fail, not even at Christmas or birthdays. Always 20% for old age. To not be a burden. To live with dignity when I could no longer work. And now they were telling me all of that had vanished in a single click. The manager came out of his office. A young guy, early 30s, expensive suit, blue tie. He looked at me the way you look at a problem. Mr. Reynolds, please come in. He took me to a small room, cold, smelling of cheap air freshener. I sat on a plastic chair. He reviewed my account on his tablet. I see that there was indeed a transfer on Friday. Digitally authorized. I didn't authorize it. Mr. Reynolds, do you live alone? Yes, my wife passed away 3 months ago. Do you have family who knows your PINs? And that's when I understood everything. My son. Does he have access to your accounts? No. Well, he helped me install the bank app on my phone 2 months ago. He said it was easier that way. The manager nodded, as if he already knew the whole story. Mr. Reynolds, this happens a lot. Children help with technology, and sometimes there are misunderstandings. This is not a misunderstanding, I said, raising my voice. My son stole from me. He stole all my money. The manager raised his hands. Sir, I can't make that accusation. What I suggest is that you talk to your family, that you clarify the situation, and if there is a crime, go to the police. I can't do anything. The system records that the transfer was correctly authorized. There are no technical irregularities. But I didn't authorize it. Mr. Reynolds, please lower your voice. I won't lower my voice. I was robbed. Sir, if you keep shouting, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I stood up. The chair fell. It made a loud noise. The whole bank went silent. Everyone was looking at me. The manager stood up too. Mr. Reynolds, please leave. And that's when I knew no one was going to help me. That to them, I was just a confused, senile, loud old man. I left the bank with my legs shaking. I felt all eyes glued to my back. I heard the whispers. Poor old man. He must have dementia. How sad. And every word was a stab. I walked fast, aimlessly, not knowing where to go. I sat down on a bench in the park across the street. I pulled out my phone. I called Robert. It rang once, twice, 3 times. 4. Voicemail. The number you have dialed is not available. I called again. Voicemail. Again, voicemail. 5 times. 6, 7, and nothing. Robert wasn't answering. And then I saw something on my text messages, a message from him, from last night, at 11 o'clock. Dad, hope you're resting. We'll talk tomorrow. Tomorrow. Today was tomorrow. And he hadn't called. He wasn't going to call. I opened my mobile banking app. I logged in with my PIN. I saw the transaction. Transfer to Robert Reynolds Smith. My son, my own blood. There was his name. Shameless, undisguised. He had robbed me, and he didn't even try to hide it, as if he had the right, as if that money were his. I checked for more transactions. There was another one. From Thursday, 2 days before emptying my house, $500, to the same account. And another one from Wednesday, $300. This wasn't an impulse. This was planned. For weeks, maybe months, while I grieved for Teresa. While I tried to survive each day, my son was planning how to steal everything from me. I stayed sitting there. I don't know for how long. I watched a father walk by with his son. The boy must have been about 6 years old. They were walking hand in hand. The father bought him an ice cream. The boy laughed. And I thought, Robert was once that child. He once looked at me with those eyes full of love. I was once his hero. When did that change? When did my son start seeing me as an obstacle, as something to get rid of? I took out my wallet. I had $40. That was everything. $40 to survive. I didn't know until when. I didn't know how I was going to eat, how I was going to pay the utilities, how I was going to live. And I realized that was exactly what Robert wanted. For me to be unable to fend for myself, to need help, his help, so he could control me, or something worse. I walked home, an hour-and-a-half walk because I didn't have money for the bus. When I arrived, my feet hurt. Everything hurt. I went inside, I closed the door, and I let myself slide down against it. There on the floor, and I looked at the ceiling, at the camera that was still blinking, and I thought, maybe tomorrow Robert will call. Maybe he has an explanation. Maybe this is a mistake. Maybe it can be fixed. But deep down, I already knew none of that was going to happen. Because when someone robs you, it's not a mistake. It's a decision. And Robert had decided that I no longer mattered. That my life, my memories, my money, everything was his for the taking. And that hurt more than hunger, more than the cold floor, more than the empty house. That was slowly killing me. On Tuesday morning, I got up off the floor with a plan. If the bank wouldn't help me, the police had to. This was a robbery, a crime, and crimes get reported. I took a cold shower because Robert had also canceled the gas. I put on the same wrinkled clothes as the day before because they were the only ones I had. I searched in the trash for a piece of paper and a pen. I sat on the floor and I wrote everything they had taken. The wooden wardrobe, the embroidered curtains, my father's clock, Teresa's grandmother's china. The list grew. 43 years of life reduced to 2 pages in shaky handwriting. I folded the paper. I put it in my pocket, and I left, determined. This time someone had to listen to me. This time someone had to see that this was wrong. The police station was 6 blocks away. I arrived sweating, hungry. I hadn't eaten anything since Sunday, only tap water. My stomach hurt, but I ignored it. I went inside. The place smelled of old coffee and disinfectant. A young officer was at the counter looking at his phone. Impeccable uniform. Bored face. "Good morning," I said. He barely looked up. "Good morning. What do you need?" "I want to file a report, a robbery." That caught his attention for half a second. He put down his phone. "When did it happen?" "Saturday, in my house." "Did they break in?" "No, it was my son." The officer leaned back in his chair. He looked me up and down, as if evaluating me. "Your son robbed you?" "Yes. He and his wife emptied my entire house. They took everything." I took out my list. I put it on the counter, wrinkled, stained. "This is what they took." The officer didn't even touch the list. "Sir, does your son have keys to your house?" Yes, but does he live with you? No. Then there was no illegal entry. It was probably a donation. It was not a donation. They robbed me. Without my permission. Without asking me. The officer sighed, as if this conversation bored him. Sir, this sounds like a family problem. We don't get involved in... I worked 42 years, I interrupted him. My voice came out louder than I expected. 42 years as a carpenter. I bought every item on that list with my own hands, with my sweat. I made that wardrobe myself. My wife sewed those curtains. That clock belonged to my father. They're not just things. It's my life. The officer looked at me without expression. I understand, sir. But I need proof that it was a robbery and not a voluntary donation. I have a security camera, I said quickly, in my house. It recorded everything. The officer's eyes lit up slightly. Do you have the recording? It's on the camera. Then bring it, on a USB drive or your phone. I don't know how to get it off. My wife installed that camera before she died. I don't understand technology. The officer took my list. He gave it back to me. Sir, go home, get the recording, and come back. Without evidence, I can't do anything. But my son also stole my money from the bank. $36,000. That must be recorded. Do you have a report from the bank? The bank told me it was a family matter. Then they don't see a crime. Look, sir, my advice is to talk to your family. Find a mediator, a lawyer, not us. But he robbed me, I shouted. 2 more officers turned to look at me. The young one stood up. Sir, if you keep shouting, I'm going to ask you to leave. I took my list from the counter. I folded it with trembling hands. So you're not going to do anything? We can't do anything without evidence, sir. I'm sorry. He wasn't sorry. I could see it on his face. To him, I was just another complaining old man. Another problem he didn't want to deal with. I left the station feeling like I was suffocating. The sun was hitting hard. It was only 11 o'clock in the morning, but the heat was unbearable. I leaned against the wall. I took a deep breath. And that's when I saw it. Across the street, a white van. The same one from Saturday, I was sure. It had a decal on the rear window. A cartoon dog. My heart started beating fast. What was that van doing there? Were they following me? I crossed the street almost running, without looking. A car honked at me. They shouted at me. I didn't care. I reached the van. I touched the hood. Warm. It had just arrived. I looked toward the nearby businesses, a bakery, a pharmacy, a notary's office. And then the door of the notary's office opened, and she came out. Bridget. She was carrying a thick folder under her arm. She was wearing makeup, an elegant dress, heels, as if she were going to an important meeting. And when she saw me, she smiled. That fake smile I hate so much. She walked directly toward me. Mr. Reynolds, she said in a sugary voice. What a surprise to see you here. What are you doing here? I asked her. I tried to sound firm, but my voice came out broken. She opened the van door. She got in. She put the folder on the passenger seat. But before she closed the door, I managed to see documents with the notary's logo and on top, my name, Frank Reynolds Smith. My stomach clenched. What is that? I pointed to the folder. Just boring paperwork, Mr. Reynolds. Nothing you should worry about. It has my name on it. It has many names. You worry too much. She started the engine. You know what I think, Mr. Reynolds? I think you need to rest. I think all this is stressing you out, and stress isn't good at your age. She leaned toward me. Her sweet perfume made me nauseous. Very soon we are going to resolve all of this. I promise. She accelerated and drove away. leaving me standing there, with my heart pounding in my chest. Documents with my name at a notary's office. What were they doing? What were they processing? I went into the notary's office. A young receptionist greeted me. "Good morning, how can I help you?" The woman who just left. The one in the blue dress. What procedure did she come to do? The receptionist frowned. "Sir, that information is confidential." "It's about me. She has documents with my name on them. If it's about you, then you should know." "I don't know. That's why I'm asking." "I'm sorry, sir. I cannot give you that information." I insisted. I begged. I humbled myself. But they didn't tell me anything. I left there more scared than when I went in. They were planning something. Something legal. Something with my name. And I had no idea what it was. I walked aimlessly for an hour, maybe more. Hunger was making me dizzy. I saw a fruit stand on a corner. Bright red apples. My stomach growled. I took out my wallet. I had $30 left. I bought 2 apples. $3. I ate them right there, standing on the street, fast, almost without chewing. They tasted like heaven. When I finished, I felt worse, hungrier than before, as if my body had remembered what it was like to eat and now demanded more. I kept walking. I passed a used furniture store, and something in the window stopped me dead. A wardrobe, wooden, with hand-carved rose designs. My wardrobe, the one I made, the one Robert took. It was there, for sale, with a sign. Antique, handcrafted work, $800. I walked into the store as if in a trance. "That wardrobe," I said to the salesman. A fat man with a mustache. "Where did you get it?" "I bought it yesterday. A young man sold it to me. Good price." "That wardrobe is mine." The salesman looked at me suspiciously. "Yours?" "I made it, with my hands. It was stolen from me on Saturday." "Sir, I bought it legally. I have a receipt." That young man had no right to sell it. Well, he told me it was his, and he showed me ID, all legal. "Can I see it?" "The wardrobe?" "Sure." I went closer. I ran my fingers over the wood, over the roses I carved so carefully. Every petal, every leaf. I could still feel the effort, the hours, the love I put into it. "How much do you want for it?" I asked. The salesman looked at me surprised. $800, like the sign says. I had $27. "I can't afford it." "Then I can't give it to you, sir. But it's mine." "Not anymore, sir. Now it's mine. And if you don't buy it, someone else will." I left the store with tears in my eyes. My wardrobe, the one I made for Teresa, being sold like trash. And I couldn't do anything. I kept walking, stunned. And I passed a park. There was a man sitting on a bench, with a child. The boy must have been about 5 years old. They were eating ice cream. The father wiped his mouth with a napkin. The boy laughed, and the father looked at him with so much love that it broke my heart. That's how I looked at Robert. That's how I played with him. That's how I took care of him. And now that same child had destroyed me, had erased me, as if I had never been his father, as if those years meant nothing. The man saw me looking at them. He smiled at me, a polite greeting. I couldn't smile back. I just kept walking, carrying the weight of everything I had lost. I arrived home when it was already getting dark. I opened the door with my new key. I went in. I closed it. I locked it. And I let myself fall against the door, the cold floor against my back, the crushing silence. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I thought, maybe I deserve this. Maybe I was a bad father. Maybe I didn't give Robert what he needed. Maybe Teresa was right when she said I worked too much, that I was never home, that I missed important moments. Maybe this is my punishment. Maybe God is settling the score for every time I chose carpentry over my son. And if so, maybe I should accept it. Maybe I should let Robert do whatever he wants. Because in the end, what right do I have to complain? But then, in the darkness, I saw the little red light of the camera, still blinking, still there. And something in my chest hardened. No. This wasn't divine justice. This was human evil. And I didn't deserve to be erased. On Wednesday, I woke up before dawn. I couldn't sleep. Hunger woke me up every 2 hours. My stomach hurt. Everything hurt. But I had to do something. I couldn't just stay there waiting for Robert to finish destroying me. I thought about who could help me. I mentally reviewed every person I knew. And there were so few left. Teresa was the one who kept up the friendships, the one who invited people over, the one who organized lunches. I just worked. But there was someone. Mrs. Betty, the neighbor, Teresa's best friend for 20 years. If anyone was going to believe me, it had to be her. I washed my face. I combed my hair with my hands. I left when the sun was barely starting to rise. Betty's house was 3 houses down, yellow, with geraniums by the entrance. I rang the bell. I waited. I heard footsteps. The door opened slightly. A crack. Betty's eye appeared. "Mr. Reynolds?" "Betty, good morning. Can I come in?" She didn't unlatch the safety chain. "What do you need, Mr. Reynolds? It's very early." "I need to talk to you. It's urgent." "Did something happen?" "Yes. Robert. He and Bridget robbed me. They emptied my house. They took everything from me, and no one believes me. I need you to Mr. Reynolds." She interrupted me. Her voice was cold, strange. "Robert came to see me." My heart sank. "When?" "Sunday. He told me everything." "Everything?" "Yes. He told me that you are very confused lately, that you forget things, that sometimes you don't know what day it is, that you see things that don't exist." "That's a lie, Betty." "He showed me messages, Mr. Reynolds. Messages you sent him. It said you heard Mrs. Teresa, that she talked to you at night. I never wrote those messages. I saw them on Robert's phone with my own eyes. Then he invented them. Betty, you know me. You knew Teresa. You know I'm not crazy." She shook her head slowly. "Mr. Reynolds, losing Teresa was very hard for everyone. But you are not handling it well. And that's okay. It's normal. But you need help." Teresa and Betty had coffee together every afternoon. For 20 years, they told each other everything. They laughed together. They cried together. And now Betty was looking at me like a stranger. "Robert told me they went to help you, to clean the house, and that you became aggressive, that you almost hit him." "That's not true. Is it? Or don't you remember?" "Betty, please, they robbed me. It's all on the security camera. It recorded everything." "Mr. Reynolds, Robert is doing the right thing. He is taking care of you, protecting you. Sometimes children have to make difficult decisions for their parents." "Decisions? Is robbing me a decision?" "It's not robbery if it's for your own good." She started to close the door. "Betty, wait, please, at least listen to me." "I have listened, Mr. Reynolds, and I think you should talk to Robert. Settle things. He only wants the best for you." She closed the door. I heard the lock engage, and I stood there, feeling another door close. Not just the door to her house, the door to any hope of help. I walked aimlessly, not knowing where to go. And then I thought of Stephen, my colleague from the carpentry shop. We worked together for 30 years. We were friends, or so I thought. His house was far, 12 blocks, maybe more, but I had no choice. I started walking. The sun was already high. It was hot. I hadn't eaten anything, only water. My legs were shaking, but I kept going. I had to keep going. I arrived after an hour. Sweaty, dizzy. I knocked on the door. Stephen's wife opened it. "Mr. Reynolds?" "Amelia, good morning. Is Stephen home?" She looked at me uncomfortably. "He's inside, but I need to talk to him. It's important." "Mr. Reynolds, Stephen told me that if you came..." "What?" "That he couldn't receive you." I felt like I was drowning. "Why?" "I'm sorry. Those are his orders." "Amelia, please, just 5 minutes." She shook her head. "I'm sorry, Mr. Reynolds. Take care." And she closed the door. She didn't even let me explain. She didn't even let me try. I knocked on the door again. "Stephen! Stephen, I know you're in there. Please!" Nothing. I knocked again, harder. "Hey, Stephen, we worked together for 30 years. 30 years! Doesn't that mean anything?" The door opened. But it wasn't Amelia. It was Stephen, with a serious, annoyed face. "Frank, leave." "Stephen, I need your help." "I can't help you." "Why? What did Robert tell you?" "He told me the truth. That you're unwell, that you need professional help, and that you're harassing people with crazy stories." "They're not crazy stories. They're facts. I was robbed." "That's what you say. Robert says otherwise, and you believe him and not me." "He's your son, Frank. Why would he rob you? For money? For the house? For... Are you paranoid? Are you making things up?" "I'm not making anything up," I yelled. Stephen took a step back. "Leave, Frank, before I call the police." "The police? Why?" "For harassment. For disturbing the peace. Leave, now." And he closed the door, locked it. And I stayed there, on his porch, feeling like the whole world had turned its back on me. I walked back toward my house, slow, defeated, aimlessly. And then, on a corner, I saw someone familiar. Mr. Severin. He was standing in front of a small house, humble, with peeling paint. It wasn't the house I remembered. Mr. Severin had a large house, 2 stories, with a garden. This was different. "Mr. Severin?" I called out. He turned. He looked at me surprised. "Frank?" "Mr. Severin, what are you doing here?" I pointed to the small house. "Do you live here?" He lowered his gaze, ashamed. "Yes, I live here now. But your house? It's not mine anymore. Do you want to come in?" He gestured toward the door. "I need to talk to someone," I told him. He nodded. "Come in. But I can't offer you much. I live alone." We went in. The house was tiny, a single room, kitchen, living room, and bedroom, all together. Dark, smelling stale. We sat down, and I told him everything, from the beginning. Mr. Severin listened in silence, without interrupting. When I finished, he sighed deeply. "Frank, you know what happened with my son? Robert?" "Yes, Robert. 5 years ago, he put me in a retirement home. He told me it was temporary, that it was for my own good. I was there for 2 years. 2 years, Frank. Until I escaped. I literally escaped. And when I came back to my house, it wasn't mine anymore. Robert had sold it. He kept everything. I was frozen." "And what did you do?" "Nothing. I couldn't do anything. He had power of attorney over me. He signed papers. He declared me incapacitated. All legal, all perfect. And I was left with nothing." "But that's unfair." "Yes. Illegal? Apparently not. Children can do whatever they want if they convince a judge that the father can't take care of himself." Mr. Severin looked at me intently. "Frank, If your son is doing what I think he's doing, you have to act fast, very fast. Because once they sign the papers, there's no turning back. What papers? Incapacity, guardianship, power of attorney. There are many ways, but they all end the same. You lose control of your life, and they gain control of everything you own. And how do I stop him? You need proof that you're well, that you can take care of yourself. Doctor's certificates, witnesses, something. I don't have any of that. Then you are lost, Frank. He stood up. He went to the kitchen. He came back with a glass of water. He gave it to me. Here, you look bad. I drank. The water was warm, but it calmed me. Mr. Severin, do you believe me? I believe you, because it happened to me. I know how this works. Would you help me? Could you testify that I'm well? He shook his head. I can't, Frank. Robert threatened me. If I talk, if I get into other people's problems, he'll put me back in the home. And I'm not going back there. I'm sorry. I understood. I didn't blame him. He was afraid. Like me. Like everyone, I left Mr. Severin's house with more fear than hope. Now I knew what Robert was planning. Guardianship. Declaring me incompetent, and once he succeeded, he could do whatever he wanted. Sell the house, keep everything, put me in a home, erase me completely. And I had no way to stop him. I had no money for a lawyer. I had no witnesses. I had no proof that I was well. Because everyone believed I was unwell. Robert had built the perfect narrative, and I fell right into it. I walked back home feeling like every step brought me closer to the abyss. And the worst part was that Robert had planned everything. Weeks ago, maybe months. He talked to everyone. He planted every doubt. He faked every message. He constructed every lie. And now, all he had to do was sign the papers. And I would disappear. I arrived home when it was already night. I went in, I closed the door, I sat down on the floor, and I looked at the camera, the little red light, and I understood something. That camera was my only salvation. But I couldn't access it alone. I needed help. Technical help. And I didn't know anyone. I took out my phone, I searched Google. Security camera technician, New York. Dozens of results appeared. I chose one at random. I called. It rang 3 times. Good evening, Servitech. Good evening. I need help with a security camera. Of course. What kind of help? I need to download a recording. It's urgent. We can send a technician tomorrow between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Can't it be sooner? I'm sorry, sir. Tomorrow is the soonest. How much does it cost? The visit is $50. I had $27 left. I understand. Thank you. I hung up. I didn't even have money for that. Not even to save my own life. And that's when I understood that this hadn't just been planned. It had been perfect. Robert had left me without money, without friends, without options, with no way out. And now all he had to do was wait for me to give up or disappear, whichever came first. On Thursday morning, I was sitting on the living room floor. I hadn't slept. Hunger was a live animal in my stomach. I had spent all night searching on my phone how to download videos from security cameras. Tutorial after tutorial. None of them worked. They were all for different cameras. For apps I didn't have. For passwords I didn't know. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I gave up. I closed my eyes. And that's when the doorbell rang. My heart jumped. Robert? Bridget? The police? I got up slowly. I walked to the door. I looked through the peephole. A young woman, blue uniform, clipboard in hand. I didn't know her. I opened it slightly. With the chain on. Yes? Good morning, Mr. Frank Reynolds? Yes, that's me. I'm Celeste Walls, from Total Security. I'm here for your monthly security camera checkup. I froze. Monthly checkup? Yes, sir. It's part of the contract. A technical review every 30 days. Celeste took out a tablet. She tapped the screen. It says here that your wife, Mrs. Teresa Smith, contracted the service 13 months ago. Camera with cloud recording. Maintenance included. Teresa, of course. She was always meticulous about those things, always thought of everything. And I never paid attention. I never asked how it worked. I never cared. Until now. I thought it had been canceled. No, sir. The service is prepaid for 2 years. We have 11 more months left. I opened the door completely. I removed the chain. Come in, please. Come in. Celeste entered and stopped. She looked around. The empty walls, the bare floor, the marks where the furniture used to be. You're moving, Mr. Reynolds? Her voice held genuine concern, and that broke me. I completely fell apart, right there, in front of a stranger. I'm not moving, I said with a broken voice. I was robbed. My son, my own son, came on Saturday and took everything. He emptied my house. He emptied my bank account. He left me with nothing, and no one believes me. The police don't believe me. My neighbors don't believe me. My friends don't believe me. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, that I'm senile, that I make things up, but I don't make them up. It happened. It all happened exactly like I'm telling you. And the only proof I have is right there. I pointed to the camera, in that darn camera that I don't know how to use. My whole body was shaking. Celeste didn't say anything. She just looked at me, and I thought she was going to leave, that she was going to run away like everyone else. But she didn't. She walked toward me. She put her hand on my shoulder. Mr. Reynolds, please sit down. There was nowhere to sit. I sat on the floor. She sat across from me. She crossed her legs. She put the clipboard aside. Tell me everything, she said, from the beginning. And I told her everything, every detail. Saturday, the boxes, Bridget, the wardrobe, the bank, the police, the neighbors, Mr. Severin, everything. I spoke for 20 minutes without stopping. And Celeste listened. Without interrupting, without judging. She just listened. When I finished, she nodded slowly. Mr. Reynolds, I can recover that recording. You can? My voice sounded desperate. Yes, the images are saved in the cloud for 90 days. Then they are automatically deleted. But you are lucky. Today is Thursday. Saturday was 5 days ago. Everything is still there. Can you show me? Right now? I need my laptop. It's in the van, but there's something else. She took out her phone. I'm going to do something I technically shouldn't do. I'm going to give you full access to the account, username and password, so you can log in whenever you want. View the recordings, download them, whatever you need. Why? I asked her. Why are you helping me? Celeste looked down at the floor, at the empty walls. My grandfather, she said finally. 3 years ago, his son put him in a retirement home. He took everything from him. The house, the savings, everything. And by the time we found out, it was too late. My grandfather died there, alone, sad, convinced that his family had abandoned him. And I didn't do anything. Because I was young, because I didn't understand. Because I thought adults knew what they were doing. She looked at me intently. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. She went out to her van. She came back with a laptop. She sat on the floor with me. She opened the laptop. She typed quickly. Done. Here it is. See this icon? It's the recording from Saturday. She clicked. And there it was. My living room, still empty. The clock in the corner said 09:47 a.m. And then they walked in, Robert and Bridget, with the boxes, with the bags. And it all started again. But this time I was watching it from the outside, like a movie, as if it were happening to someone else. "Do you want to watch the whole thing?" Celeste asked. "It's almost 4 hours long." "No, not now." I couldn't, not yet. "But I need a copy. Can you give me a copy?" "Of course." "Do you have a USB drive?" "I don't." "It doesn't matter. I can leave you one, and I'm also going to teach you how to download the videos directly from your phone." She spent the next 30 minutes teaching me, slowly, patiently, as if it were the most important thing in the world. "That's it," she said finally. "Now you can log in from anywhere. See everything. Download everything." "Celeste, I don't know how to thank you." "Don't thank me yet. This is only evidence. Now you need to do something with it." "What?" "Go to a lawyer. Not the police. A lawyer. A good one. Specializing in family law. And show him this." "I don't have money for a lawyer." Celeste frowned. She thought, "Let me make some calls. I know people. Maybe someone can help you pro bono or with a discount." "Would you do that?" "Yes." She stood up. She put away her laptop. "Mr. Reynolds, I'm coming back tomorrow. With information, with names, with something. Don't give up. Do you hear me? Don't give up." And she left, leaving me there, on the floor, with the USB drive in my hand. And for the first time in days, I felt something. Small, fragile, but real. Hope. That afternoon I stared at the USB drive. Red, small, but it contained everything. The truth. My salvation. I connected it to my phone with an adapter Celeste left me. I opened the video, and I forced myself to watch it. The whole thing. All 4 hours. I saw Robert carelessly packing Teresa's things, tossing them, laughing. I saw Bridget trying on Teresa's jewelry in front of the mirror, admiring herself. I saw when they took out the wardrobe, when I begged them not to take it. And I saw my face, broken, pleading, pathetic. Is that what I looked like? Was I that destroyed? I kept watching. And then a part came that I didn't remember. Robert and Bridget in the kitchen, talking quietly, thinking I couldn't hear them, because I was in the bedroom, crying on Teresa's empty bed. "Did you sign the papers yet?" Bridget asked. "Tomorrow. I have an appointment at the notary's on Monday." "What if he refuses?" "He won't be able to refuse. I have everything. The fake messages, the neighbor's testimonies, the doctor's certificate." "What doctor's certificate?" "I paid Dr. Davidson $500. He signed a paper saying my dad has advanced senile dementia, that he can't make decisions, that he needs permanent care." Bridget laughed. "You're a genius." "I'm not just practical. In 2 months, he'll be in the St. Raphael retirement home, and this house will be ours. I already spoke to a buyer. They offered us $300,000. We'll split it half and half." "And your dad? What about him?" "He'll be fine in the home. He'll have food, a roof. What more does he need?" My blood ran cold. I paused the video. I rewound. I listened again. I paid Dr. Davidson $500, a fake doctor's certificate. That's what I saw at the notary's. Documents to declare me incompetent, to steal my house, to erase me. I kept watching, and another scene appeared. Robert alone. I had gone out to the yard. I don't remember why, and he took my phone, the one I had left on the table. He unlocked it. My password was simple. Teresa's date of birth. Robert knew it. He went into my text messages and started writing messages to himself. From my phone. Teresa talks to me. I hear her at night. I know she's here. I know she didn't leave. She tells me things. She asks me to go with her. Message after message, all dated 3 weeks prior. And then he deleted them from my phone. But they remained on his, as evidence of my supposed madness. I watched him do it all, calmly, precisely, as if he had practiced. And I realized, this wasn't planned in weeks. It was planned in months. Maybe since before Teresa died. Maybe since she was diagnosed with kidney failure. Robert had been waiting, preparing, building his plan. And I never saw it coming. I turned off the video. I couldn't watch anymore. My hands were trembling. My heart was beating so fast I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But I had to calm down. I had to think. Now I had proof. Real proof. Irrefutable. I had Robert confessing. I had the fake doctor's certificate. I had everything. But would it be enough? Would they believe me now? I lay down on the floor. I closed my eyes. And I thought of Teresa. What she would do. Frank, she would say, don't give up, never give up. And I smiled, small, sad, because Teresa always knew I needed a push, that I was a coward sometimes. And that's why she installed that camera. Not for security, but for me. Because she knew that someday I would need it. As if she had seen all this coming. As if she had known Robert was capable of this. And she left me a way to defend myself, even after she died. Teresa was still taking care of me. On Friday morning, Celeste returned. She rang the doorbell at 9 o'clock sharp. I was already awake, waiting for her. I opened the door. She walked in with a smile, small but real. Mr. Reynolds, I have news. Good news? That depends. I found a lawyer. His name is Ivan Bell. He's good, very good. He specializes in elder abuse cases. And he agreed to see you. How much does he charge? Nothing, for now. He said he first wants to see the evidence. If the case is solid, he will work on a contingency fee. That means he only gets paid if he wins. I couldn't believe it. When can I see him? Today, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at his office. She gave me the address. I saved it on my phone. Celeste, don't say anything, Mr. Reynolds. Just go. And bring the USB drive. Show him everything. I nodded. She turned to leave. Celeste? Yes? Thank you. For everything. She smiled. You would have found another way. Men like you always do. I spent the rest of the morning preparing. I bathed. I put on the least wrinkled clothes I had. I shaved with an old razor I found. I looked at myself in the mirror. I still looked like a homeless man. But at least a clean one. I left the house at 2 o'clock. The lawyer's office was far. I had to take 2 buses, $27. That was all my money. The fare cost $5. Round trip, $10. I would have $17 left, enough to eat something cheap. Maybe 2 more days. I got on the first bus. I sat in the back. And throughout the ride, I mentally rehearsed what I was going to say. How was I going to explain it? How was I going to convince the lawyer that my case was worth it? Because if he rejected me, I had no plan B. There was no one else. This was my last chance. I arrived at the building at 3 o'clock minus 10 minutes. An old building, 5 stories. No elevator. The office was on the 4th floor. I went up slowly. My knees hurt. I arrived sweating. I knocked on the door. Come in. I entered. The office was small, 2 desks, filing cabinets up to the ceiling, and a man in his 50s sitting behind one of the desks. Glasses, gray beard, white shirt without a tie. "Mr. Reynolds?" "Yes, sir." "Ivan Bell, nice to meet you. Have a seat." I sat on a plastic chair, hard, uncomfortable. "Celeste told me about your situation, but I want to hear it from you, in your own words. Take your time. Tell me everything." And I did. From the beginning, Saturday, Bridget, Robert, the bank, the police, the neighbors, Mr. Severin, everything. Ivan listened, taking notes, without interrupting. When I finished, he put down his pen. "Do you have the recording?" "Yes." I took out the USB drive. I gave it to him. Ivan connected it to his laptop. He opened the video, and we started watching, together, in silence. I watched my living room emptying again. I saw Robert and Bridget working, laughing, talking. Ivan fast-forwarded to the kitchen part. The conversation about the papers, the fake certificate, the retirement home, the sale of the house. We heard everything. When it finished, Ivan rewound. He played that part again. He listened to it one more time. He took notes. "This is gold," he said finally. "What?" "This recording. It's exactly what we need. We have conspiracy, fraud, falsification of documents, theft. We have everything." "Then you believe me?" "Mr. Reynolds, it's not a matter of believing you. It's a matter of evidence. And you have solid evidence. Irrefutable." I felt a weight lift from my chest. "What do we do now?" "Now, Mr. Reynolds, we fight back." Ivan stood up. He went to one of the filing cabinets. He took out a folder. He put it on the desk. "First, we are going to file a criminal complaint against Robert and Bridget for theft, fraud, and falsification. With this recording, the district attorney's office will have no choice but to investigate." "And my money? My house?" "We are going to request protective orders to freeze Robert's accounts, to prevent him from selling the house, to protect your assets while the investigation is underway." "How long does that take?" "It depends. Maybe 1 week, maybe 2. But we have to act fast. If Robert has already started the guardianship process, we have to stop him before a judge signs off." "How do we stop him?" "With a real doctor's certificate. From a real doctor, certifying that you are in full mental capacity, that you do not have dementia, that you can make your own decisions." "Do you know someone?" "Yes, I have contacts. I can get an appointment for tomorrow, Saturday. It's urgent." Ivan started typing on his laptop, fast, focused. "Mr. Reynolds, I need you to answer me something honestly. Do you want to salvage your relationship with your son, or do you want justice?" The question hit me hard. I stayed silent, thinking, what did I want? Did I want Robert to be my son again? Did I want to forgive him? Did I want to forget all this? No, I couldn't. Not after what I saw in that recording. Not after hearing him plan my confinement, my disappearance, my living death. "I want justice," I said finally. "I want him to pay for what he did." Ivan nodded. "Good, because this is going to get ugly. Robert is going to hire lawyers. He's going to fight. He's going to say the recording is fake, that you manipulated it. He's going to do everything he can to destroy your credibility. Are you ready for that?" "Yes." "Are you sure?" "Yes. I am sure." We spent the next 2 hours reviewing everything. Ivan made copies of the video. He put the USB drive in his safe. He had me sign papers, authorizations, power of attorney forms. "Done," he said finally. "Monday morning we file the complaint first thing, and we're going to ask for a restraining order so Robert can't come near you or your house." "Can he do that?" With this evidence, yes, the judge won't have a choice. I stood up to leave, but Ivan stopped me. Mr. Reynolds, one more thing. I need you to see something. He put the video on again, but fast-forwarded to a part I hadn't seen. The end. When Robert and Bridget had taken almost everything, they were at the door, about to leave, and Robert turned around. He looked directly at the camera and smiled. A cold smile, calculated, and he raised his hand, as if waving goodbye. He knew, Ivan said. He knew the camera was there. He knew it was recording, and he didn't care. I was chilled. Why? Why would he do that? Because he thought you would never be able to access the recording. Because Teresa had set the passwords. And you didn't know technology. Because he assumed you were too old, too foolish, too useless to defend yourself. Ivan paused the video, right on Robert's smile. That was his mistake, his arrogance. And that is what is going to sink him. I swallowed. Seeing that smile, that mockery, that absolute contempt, broke something inside me that I didn't know was still whole. Is there anything else in the video? I asked in a hoarse voice. Anything worse? Ivan looked at me seriously. Yes, but I think you've seen enough for today. Show me everything. I need to see everything. Ivan sighed. He fast-forwarded the video again. To the very end, after they left, the empty house, and me there, sitting on the floor, crying. I watched myself get up, walk to the bedroom, and lie down on the floor. No mattress, no pillow, just the cold floor. And I cried, for hours. The camera recorded everything. My pain, my humiliation, my complete breakdown. Turn it off, I said. I've seen enough. Ivan closed the laptop. Mr. Reynolds, what your son did to you is not just theft. It is psychological torture. It is abuse. It is the systematic destruction of a person. And we are going to make sure a judge sees it that way. Do you think we'll win? With this evidence, there's no way we can lose. But I warn you, winning in court is not going to get your son back. It's not going to repair the relationship. That is broken. Probably forever. I left Ivan's office feeling different, stronger, but also sadder. Because now I knew with absolute certainty that Robert didn't love me, that maybe he never loved me, that everything was a lie. Or maybe it was real once, when he was a child. And something changed. Something I didn't see. Something I caused. Or maybe my son simply became someone I didn't know. A stranger. A monster. I went down the stairs slowly. I left the building, and there, at the entrance, I stopped. Because across the street parked was the white van. Bridget's van. And she was inside, watching me. We stayed like that, looking at each other, for seconds that felt like hours. And then she started the car and drove away, leaving me there with the certainty that they had been following me, that they knew where I was, that they knew what I was doing. I took out my phone. I called Ivan. He answered on the second ring. Mr. Reynolds? They were waiting for me, outside your office. Bridget. Silence. Did she leave? Yes. Good. Listen, that confirms they are nervous. That they know you are doing something. But they don't know what. Not yet. So you have to be careful. Don't go out alone at night. Keep the door locked. Don't open it to anyone you don't know. Understood? Understood. And Mr. Reynolds, one more thing. The worst is yet to come. When we file the complaint on Monday, Robert is going to attack. He's going to try to destroy you. It's going to be brutal. Be prepared. I hung up, and I walked toward the bus stop, feeling the weight of what was coming, but also feeling for the first time in days that I wasn't alone, that I had weapons, that I had a chance, and that I was going to fight until the end. I arrived home that Friday night feeling something strange in my chest, something I hadn't felt in days. It was as if the air was lighter, as if I could breathe again. I had proof. I had a lawyer. I had a plan. I was no longer the helpless victim Robert thought I was. I heated water on the stove. I made myself a cup of tea with an old tea bag I found. I sat on the floor and looked at my phone. Robert's number was there, saved as Robert with a heart emoji. Teresa had put it like that years ago, and I never changed it. My fingers trembled over the screen. Should I call him? Should I give him one last chance? Or should I go straight to war? Ivan told me to wait until Monday, to not do anything that could alert them. But something inside me needed to hear Robert's voice, needed to give him a chance to explain, to regret, to be my son again, even if only for a second. I dialed. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times, 4. I thought he wasn't going to answer. But on the 5th ring, he answered. Dad? His voice sounded different, cautious. Robert, we need to talk. Silence, long, heavy. Dad, now is not a good time. Yes, it is a good time. It's the only time. I took a deep breath. I know everything, Robert. I know what you did. I know what you planned. I have proof. Another silence. But this one was different. I could feel his panic through the phone. What are you talking about? The security camera. The one that recorded everything on Saturday. The one that recorded your conversation with Bridget. The one that recorded when you faked messages on my phone. Everything. I have everything. I heard his breathing quicken. Dad, tell me the truth. For once in your life, tell me the truth. Dad, it was a misunderstanding. His voice changed. Now it sounded soft, pleading, like when he was a child and got into trouble. Everything got out of control. I just wanted to help you. The house was really run down. You weren't well, and Bridget, she convinced me it was for the best. But I regret it. I swear I regret it. You regret it? Yes, Dad, very much. And I'm going to give everything back. The things, the money, everything. Just give me time. Time for what? To sell my things? To sign the guardianship papers? To put me in a retirement home? No, Dad. I never wanted that. That was Bridget's idea. She pressured me. She manipulated me. But I realized. I opened my eyes. And I'm going to fix everything. I promise you. I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to believe him. But something in his voice didn't sound real. It sounded rehearsed, like he was reading a script. Robert, if you really want to fix things, come over tomorrow, to the house, at 10 o'clock in the morning. Bring everything you took, and we'll talk. I can't tomorrow, Dad. I have things to do. What things are more important than this? Fine, I'll go. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I'll be there. With everything, I promise. You promise? I swear on Mom. On Teresa. I swear I'm going to fix everything. And he hung up, leaving me there, with the phone in the air. He swore on Teresa. Those words gave me hope. Because Robert never swore on his mother in vain. Never. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance to save something. To get my son back, for this nightmare to end without lawyers or courts, as a family. That night I didn't sleep. I stayed sitting on the floor, looking at the door, imagining what it would be like. Robert would arrive with the boxes, with my things, with the wardrobe, with everything. He would ask for forgiveness. He would cry. And I would forgive him. Because that's what fathers do. They forgive. Always. Teresa told me that when Robert was a child and misbehaved. Frank, children make mistakes. But we forgive them. Because they are our blood. And blood is never abandoned. Maybe Teresa was right. Maybe Robert had a good heart deep down and had just gotten lost. Maybe Bridget had manipulated him like he said. Maybe there was still time to save him. To save us. I clung to that hope like a castaway to a piece of driftwood. Because it was the only thing I had. On Saturday, I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, although I hadn't slept. I bathed. I shaved again. I put on the best clothes I had left. I went out to the street with the $17 I had. I bought bagels. I bought coffee. I even bought 2 plastic cups for when Robert arrived, to drink coffee together, like before. Like when he used to come over on Sundays and we would sit in the yard talking about football, about life, about everything. I went back home. I prepared the coffee. I put the bagels on a plate. And I sat on the porch to wait. It was 7:30, 2.5 hours to go. But I didn't care. I would wait as long as necessary. Because my son was coming. My son was going to fix everything. And everything was going to be all right. 8 o'clock passed. 9 o'clock, 9:30. I was still sitting there, looking at the street. Every car that passed made me jump. Was it him? Was it Robert? But no, it wasn't. 10 o'clock. The agreed-upon time, nothing, 10:10, 10:20. I started to feel a knot in my stomach. Maybe he was delayed, maybe traffic, maybe he had a problem. I took out my phone. I called. Straight to voicemail. The number you have dialed is switched off or out of the service area. I called again. Same message. Again and again. 10 times. 20. All to voicemail. 11 o'clock. The coffee was already cold. The bagels stale. And Robert wasn't coming. He wasn't going to come. And I knew it. Deep down, I always knew it. But I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to see the truth that was right in front of me. At 11:30, my phone vibrated. A text message from Robert. I opened it with trembling hands. Dad, I talked to a lawyer. He told me the recording is not valid as evidence if it was obtained without the consent of everyone present. He told me you have nothing on me, that everything I took was with your permission, that the messages you sent prove you're not well. So it's best to let this go, for your own good. And for mine. Don't contact me again. I read the message 3 times. 4, 5. The words blurred. They disappeared. They reappeared. You have nothing on me. Don't contact me again. My son, my own blood. Telling me I had nothing, that I was defeated, that I should give up. I got up from the porch. I went inside the house. I poured out the cold coffee. I threw away the stale bagels, and I sat on the floor, with the phone in my hand, reading the message over and over. I called Ivan. I needed to talk to someone. I needed him to tell me Robert was lying, that the recording was valid, that I wasn't lost. He answered on the 3rd ring. Mr. Reynolds? Ivan, Robert sent me a message. He says the recording is no good, that it's a lie. He interrupted me, firmly, confidently. The recording was made in your own house, with your own camera. It doesn't need anyone's consent. It is completely legal, and it is admissible evidence in any court. Are you sure? Completely. Robert's lawyer lied to him, Or Robert is lying to you, probably both. This is nothing more than an intimidation tactic. I took a breath. So, we stick to the plan? Yes, Monday first thing. Don't worry, Mr. Reynolds. Robert is scared. That's why he's playing dirty. But we have everything. He has nothing. Thank you, Ivan. Don't thank me yet. This is just starting. I hung up and stayed there, sitting on the floor, with my back against the wall. And that's when I understood. I truly understood. Robert had no intention of returning anything. The call on Friday was theater. His apologies were lies. His promise was a trap. He made me wait all day. He made me hope. He made me believe there was still something left of my son there, only to destroy me again, only to show me that he was in control, that he could play with me, that I was a puppet and he pulled the strings. And worst of all, it worked. I fell for it, like an idiot, like a desperate old man. I clung to hope as if it were real, and he snatched it away from me. With a text message, cold, calculated, cruel. I closed my eyes, and I saw Robert as a child, 5 years old, crying because he fell off his bike. And me there, bandaging his knee, wiping his tears. It's okay, my son. It's over. Dad is here. And he would hug me, tight, as if I were his hero, his protector, his whole world. When did that child turn into the man who had just destroyed me with a text? When did he stop seeing me as his dad and start seeing me as a burden, as something to eliminate? I opened my eyes, and I looked at my phone. The message was still there. Don't contact me again. And something inside me broke. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't pain. It was rage. Pure, burning, devastating. Robert thought I had nothing on him. He thought I was alone, that I was defeated. But he was wrong, because now I no longer wanted to forgive him. I no longer wanted to save the relationship. I no longer wanted to get my son back, because that son no longer existed. Maybe he never existed. And the only thing left was to make him pay. On Sunday morning, someone knocked on the door. Early, too early. It was 7 o'clock. I looked through the peephole. It was Celeste. I opened it. Good morning, Mr. Reynolds. Celeste, what are you doing here so early? I brought someone. Someone you need to meet. She moved aside, and behind her a man appeared. 50s, dark suit, blue tie, leather briefcase in hand. It was Ivan. Mr. Reynolds, I know we agreed on Monday, but something happened, and I had to come today. May we come in? Of course, come in. They entered. They sat on the floor because there was nowhere else. Celeste took a laptop out of her backpack. Ivan opened his briefcase. Mr. Reynolds, I investigated Bridget, Ivan said, and I found something. Something big. My heart sped up. What did you find? Ivan pulled out a folder. He opened it. Documents, photos, screenshots. Bridget Clark, 32 years old, married 3 times. All 3 marriages ended the same way. The husbands were older, the families destroyed, the assets transferred, and she disappearing with everything. He showed me photos. Older men, 60s, 70s, some in wheelchairs, others with canes, all with the same empty, broken look, like mine. Bridget is a professional scammer. She specializes in vulnerable men, recent widowers, sick, alone. She gets close through the children. She seduces them. She convinces them that their parents need care. And then she strips them of everything. My God. There's more. Bridget has a network. She works with a lawyer, Rodney Baker, a notary, James Parker, and a doctor, Dr. Scott, the Dr. Davidson, the one who sold Robert the fake certificate. They all work together. It's a coordinated operation, and they have destroyed at least 7 families in the last 5 years. Celeste opened her laptop. She went to Instagram. And look at this. It was Bridget's profile. Private. But Celeste had gained access. I didn't ask how. The photos were of a luxurious life. Expensive restaurants, 5-star hotels, jewelry, designer handbags. And in one of the photos, from Thursday, I recognized something. A gold necklace with an emerald. Teresa's necklace, the one I gave her on our 30th anniversary. She wore it on every special occasion, and now it was on Bridget's neck, with a caption, "New vintage treasure, #antiques with history, #timeless luxury." I felt like I was suffocating. She is selling Teresa's things. Not only that, Celeste said. Look at the comments. There were dozens. People asking for prices, interested in buying, and Bridget responding, available, DM for details. She is using Instagram as a store, and there are more things from your house here. Look. She showed me more photos. My mother's vase, the china plates, the embroidered curtains, everything. Tagged. Put up for sale. As if they were garbage. "Mr. Reynolds," Ivan said, "Bridget is not just Robert's wife. She is the mastermind behind all of this. She sought him out. She seduced him. She used him. And she'll probably discard him when he's no longer useful." And Robert? Did he know? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe at first he was a victim, and then he became an accomplice. What I do know is that both of them are guilty. And both are going to pay. Ivan pulled out more papers. I contacted the other families, Bridget's victims. 3 of them agreed to testify. Their stories are identical to yours. Emptying of houses, bank transfers, fake doctors' certificates, guardianship, all the same. Same pattern, same actors. And that helps us? It helps us immensely. Because it proves that this is not an isolated incident. It is a criminal pattern, a criminal enterprise. And that makes it easier to get arrest warrants, account freezes, and tougher sentences. Celeste closed her laptop. She looked at me. "Mr. Reynolds, there's something else you should know." "What?" "My grandfather. The one I told you about. The reason I'm helping you." I nodded. He was one of Bridget's victims. I froze. What? 4 years ago. Bridget approached my uncle, my grandfather's son. She seduced him. They got married. And in 6 months, my grandfather was in a retirement home. No money, no house, nothing. He died a year later, broken, alone, convinced that his family had abandoned him. When we tried to help him, it was too late. Bridget had disappeared, and my uncle was destroyed. He committed suicide 6 months later. Celeste's voice cracked. I was 20 years old. I didn't understand. I didn't know. And I hate myself for it. For not having done more. For not having saved him. I took her hand. It wasn't your fault. Yes, it was, because I had the chance, and I didn't take it. But now, I have it again. With you. And I'm not going to waste it. Ivan stood up. Mr. Reynolds, this is no longer just your case. It's a case against a criminal organization. And I have already contacted the district attorney's office. They are interested, very interested. Because if we manage to dismantle this network, we could save many other families. They need me. Your testimony, your recording, and your courage. Because this is going to get ugly. Bridget and her associates are going to fight. They are going to try to intimidate you, threaten you, discredit you. They are going to say you are crazy, that everything is a lie, that the recording is fake. They are going to use every resource they have. I don't care. Are you sure? Yes. Because if I don't do it for myself, I'll do it for Celeste's grandfather, for the other victims, for all those who couldn't defend themselves. Ivan smiled. Good. Because we are going to need that determination, that rage. He crouched down. He looked at me intently. Mr. Reynolds, we are going to destroy them, all of them. But I need you to trust me, completely. Can you do that? Yes, I can. We spent the next 3 hours reviewing everything. Ivan explained the plan to me. On Monday, we would file the complaint against Robert, Bridget, the lawyer Baker, the notary Parker, and the Dr. Davidson. 5 people, all connected, all guilty. We would also request immediate protective orders, account freezes, prohibition of selling assets, restraining order. And there's something else, Ivan said. We are going to make this public, very public. We are going to contact the media, newspapers, television, social media. We are going to expose Bridget, show her network, warn other families. Is that legal? Completely, and it's necessary. Because if we don't, she will continue. She will find another victim, another Robert, another family. And my son? What will happen to him when this goes public? Ivan looked at me seriously. He will be humiliated, socially destroyed. He will probably lose his job, his friends, everything. Can you live with that? The question hurt, because the answer was yes. Yes, I could live with that. And that scared me. What had I become? When did I stop being the father who forgave everything and become the man who wanted to destroy his own son? But then I remembered Robert's smile in front of the camera. The Saturday message. Don't contact me again. Teresa's jewels on Bridget's neck, and the answer became clearer. I wasn't destroying my son. My son was already destroyed. I was just defending myself. Yes, I said finally. I can live with that. Celeste put her hand on my shoulder. Mr. Reynolds, why are we doing this? What do you really want? I thought. For the first time, I really thought. I don't want revenge, I said slowly. I want Robert to look at me and feel shame. I want him to know that what he did was wrong, that he destroyed me, and that, in spite of everything, I got up. I fought, and I won. That's what I want. Ivan put away his papers. Done. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll meet at the district attorney's office. Bring the USB drive, bring your ID, and bring courage, because you will need it. He left, leaving me with Celeste. She stayed for a while longer, in silence, just sitting with me on the empty floor. Are you afraid? She asked me. Yes. Of what? That this won't work. That in the end, Robert will win and I'll end up in a home, alone, like your grandfather. It's not going to happen. How do you know? Because this time someone is fighting. This time someone refuses to disappear. And that person is you. She stood up. Rest, Mr. Reynolds. The war starts tomorrow. And she left, leaving me there, in my empty house, with the weapons finally in my hands, and ready to fight. That night I went to bed early. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Robert. As a child, as a teenager, as an adult, all the versions of him passing in front of me like a movie. And I asked myself, where did I go wrong? When did I lose him? Was it when I chose to work double shifts instead of going to his baseball game? Was it when Teresa got sick and I shut myself off in grief and left him alone? Was it before? Was it always? Maybe Robert always had this inside him, this capacity to destroy, and I simply didn't see it. Or I didn't want to see it. Because fathers don't want to see the bad in their children. We want to believe they are good, that they are better than us, that the world won't break them. But sometimes we are wrong, and by the time we realize it, it is too late. I got up off the floor. I went to the kitchen, I drank water, and I looked out the window, the empty street, the silent night. And I thought of Teresa, what she would say if she were here. Frank, children are borrowed. They come through us, not for us. And sometimes, just sometimes, we have to let them go, even if it hurts, even if it kills us. Maybe Teresa was right. Maybe it was time to let go. Not of the Robert who was. That one no longer existed. But of the Robert I thought he was. The son I imagined. The son who was never real. And accept that the man who remained was a stranger. Someone I didn't know. Someone capable of things I never imagined. And that was okay. Because I was no longer his father. I no longer had that responsibility. I no longer had to protect him. I no longer had to save him. I only had to save myself. And that, finally, was what I was going to do. On Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning, we filed the complaint. Ivan, Celeste and I, at the district attorney's office. The assigned prosecutor was Edward Morales, a serious man, in his 40s. He reviewed everything, the recording, the documents, the testimonies of the other victims. And when he finished, he looked at me and said, "Mr. Reynolds, this is solid, very solid. We are going to proceed with immediate criminal charges." Days later, on Wednesday, the court summons arrived. Preliminary hearing, Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning, in the 3rd Criminal Court. Robert and Bridget were officially notified. And according to Ivan, Robert hired the most expensive lawyer in New York. Richard Benton, a guy known for defending impossible cases and winning them. "Don't worry," Ivan told me. "Benton is good, but we have the truth. And the truth always wins. Eventually." That word, eventually, gave me the chills. On Friday, I arrived at the courthouse at 10 o'clock minus 30 minutes. Ivan was already there, with Celeste, and with the 3 victims who were going to testify. Older men like me, with the same broken looks, the same stories. We greeted each other, without words, just with feelings, because we all knew. We had all been through the same hell. At 10 o'clock minus 5 minutes, we entered the courtroom. Small, gray walls, fluorescent lights, smelling of dampness and old paper. There were 3 rows of wooden benches. We sat in the front, Ivan next to me, Celeste behind. And then I heard the door open. Footsteps, voices. And I knew without turning around. Robert had arrived. My heart sped up. My hands were sweating. I hadn't seen him since Saturday. Since he emptied my house. Since he destroyed me. And now I was going to have him face to face. Without escape. Without lies. Only the truth. I turned slowly. And there he was. Robert. In a dark suit, blue tie, combed hair, shaved. He looked like a businessman. Successful, respectable. Nothing like the monster I knew. Next to him, Bridget. Black dress, heels, perfect makeup. As if she were going to a social gathering, not a criminal hearing. And behind them, the lawyer Benton. Tall, imposing, with a confident smile that made me sick. Robert saw me. Our eyes met. And for a second, just 1 second, I saw something. Fear, regret, shame? I don't know. Because he immediately looked away and sat down on the other side of the courtroom. as far away from me as possible, as if I were the criminal, as if I were the threat. All rise. Enter His Honor, Judge Miller. We all stood up. The judge entered. A man in his 60s, white hair, thick glasses, serious expression. He sat down. He reviewed the papers in front of him and spoke. Good morning. We are here for the preliminary hearing of Case 2025-368-47. The State versus Robert Reynolds Smith and Bridget Clark. On charges of aggravated theft, fraud, falsification of documents, and conspiracy. His voice was deep, authoritative. Before proceeding, I ask, is there any possibility of an agreement between the parties? Benton stood up. Yes, Your Honor. My client is willing to reach an agreement. He acknowledges that there were misunderstandings, and he is willing to return certain disputed assets in exchange for dropping the charges. The judge looked at me. Mr. Frank Reynolds? Ivan touched my arm. I stood up. No, Your Honor. No agreement is possible. The judge nodded. Very well. Let us proceed. Prosecutor Morales, present your evidence. The prosecutor stood up. He connected a laptop to the projector, and it appeared on the wall. My living room. Empty. And then the video started. Everyone in the courtroom went silent, watching, listening. We saw Robert and Bridget enter. We saw the boxes, the bags. We saw them pack everything, saw them laughing. And then came the part in the kitchen. The conversation. Did you sign the papers yet? Tomorrow. I have an appointment at the notary's on Monday. What if he refuses? He won't be able to refuse. I have everything. The fake messages, the neighbor's testimonies, the doctor's certificate. What doctor's certificate? I paid Dr. Davidson $500. The silence in the room was absolute, heavy, suffocating. I looked at Robert. He was pale, head bowed, hands clenched on the table. Bridget was staring straight ahead, expressionless, as if none of this concerned her. The video continued. We saw Robert faking the messages on my phone. We saw Bridget trying on Teresa's jewelry. We saw everything. Every second, every word, every betrayal. When it ended, the judge turned off the projector. He took off his glasses. He cleaned them slowly and spoke. Mr. Robert Smith, do you have anything to say? Silence. Long, heavy. Robert didn't move. Benton whispered something in his ear. Robert shook his head. Mr. Robert, I asked you a question. Do you have anything to say in your defense? Robert slowly raised his head. He looked at me, for the first time since he entered the courtroom, and he spoke. His voice came out hoarse, broken. It was supposed to be ours. Everyone went quiet. What did you say? The judge asked. What was supposed to be yours? The house? The money? Everything. Mom was gone, and he pointed at me. He was going to die alone anyway. In a few years, maybe months. Why wait? Why pretend you cared when you never did? I stood up, without thinking, without planning it. How can you say that? My voice came out louder than I expected. Mr. Reynolds, please. The judge tried to calm me, but I couldn't. Not in that moment. I never cared about you. I raised you alone when your mother was working double shifts. I took you to school. I helped you with your homework. I taught you to ride a bike, to use tools, to be a man. And you say I never cared about you? Robert stood up too. Now both of us were standing, face to face. You were never there, always working, always at the carpentry shop. Mom raised me alone while you hid at work. I worked to feed you, to pay for your school. so you would have a roof over your head. I didn't ask for any of that. I only asked for you to be there, to see me, but you never did. Order, order in the courtroom. The judge banged the gavel, hard, repeatedly. Gentlemen, sit down, immediately. I sat down, trembling, breathing fast. Robert sat down too, with tears in his eyes. And I didn't know if they were real or acted. I didn't know anything about my son anymore. Mr. Robert, the judge said, are you admitting to the charges? Benton stood up quickly. Your Honor, my client is under a lot of stress. He is not in a condition to— Yes. Robert interrupted him. Yes, I admit it. I did everything the video says, everything. But it wasn't out of malice. It was because I was suffering too. Mom died. And Dad shut down. He wouldn't let me help him. He wouldn't let me be close. And Bridget, she just wanted to help. She convinced me it was best for both of us. For both of you? The prosecutor asked. Including the part where you planned to commit him to a home and sell his house? Robert didn't answer. He lowered his head again. And at that moment, I knew. I knew there was no real regret, only self-pity, only excuses, attempts to justify the unjustifiable. The judge spoke again. Mr. Reynolds, do you want to add anything before I issue the protective orders? I stood up. Slowly. I walked toward Robert. Ivan tried to stop me, but I didn't let him. I reached his table. I stood in front of him. So close I could see every detail of his face. The new wrinkles, the dark circles, the poorly shaved beard. And I spoke, low, just for him. I forgive you, Robert. His eyes widened, surprised. Because that's what fathers do. They forgive, always, even when they shouldn't, even when it hurts. I leaned closer. But listen to me closely. You are no longer my son. I don't know what you are, but you are not my son. Because my son died the day you walked into my house with those boxes. The day you decided my life was worth nothing. That day I lost him. And he will never come back. I straightened up. So yes, I forgive you. But never, ever, call yourself my son again. I turned around. I walked back to my seat and sat down, without looking back, without turning around. The judge spoke. He issued the orders. Account freeze. Prohibition from approaching me. Prohibition from selling any assets related to the case. Order to return all stolen objects within 72 hours. Bail of $50,000 each. And a date for the jury trial, 3 months later. Everything happened fast, blurred, like a dream or a nightmare. And when the judge banged the gavel for the last time and said, "Court adjourned," I was already standing, walking toward the exit. Ivan followed me, Celeste too. And when I crossed that door, when I left that courtroom, I felt something strange. Liberation, not happiness, not victory, just liberation, as if a weight I had been carrying for years without realizing it had been lifted from me. Outside the courthouse, there were reporters, cameras, microphones. Ivan had called them, as he promised. They surrounded us. Mr. Reynolds, how do you feel? What message do you have for other families? Will you forgive your son? The questions came from everywhere. I only said one thing. Just one. If someone is going through this, if someone feels like their family is betraying them, don't stay silent. Speak up, seek help, because you matter. Your life matters, and no one, not even your own blood, has the right to take it away from you. And I left, walking slowly, with Ivan on one side, Celeste on the other, leaving the courthouse behind, leaving Robert behind, leaving behind the son who was never what I thought he was. And even though it hurt, even though it burned my chest, even though I felt that something inside me had broken forever, I also felt that for the first time in weeks, I could breathe. I could walk with my head held high. I could be myself again, without shame, without guilt, without fear. Just me. Frank Reynolds Smith, 68 years old, carpenter, widower, survivor. 3 months later, I am sitting in my armchair. Not the old one they took. This one is new, bought at a flea market, used but comfortable. It cost $30. It cost everything I had at the time. But it was worth it. Because now I have somewhere to sit, somewhere to rest, somewhere to watch the television I also bought. Small, 20 inches. But it works. The house is no longer empty. It's not full like before. But it has the essentials. A bed, a table, 2 chairs, pots, plates, cutlery. Everything bought little by little. With the money Robert had to return to me. Not all of it. Because a lot was lost, sold, disappeared. But enough to start over, to live again. The walls are no longer bare. There are new pictures. But they are not of Teresa. They are not of Robert. They are of Celeste, of Ivan, of Mr. Severin, of the people who stayed, who helped me, who saved me. The trial was 2 weeks ago. Robert was convicted. 3 years in prison. But the judge gave him house arrest, considering he had no prior record. He has to pay a fine of $30,000, plus the full return of everything stolen, plus $20,000 in damages for emotional distress. Bridget was not so lucky. She did go to prison. 5 years, no house arrest, because it was proven she had done the same thing to 7 other families. She was a repeat offender. She was a professional criminal. Dr. Davidson lost his medical license. The lawyer Baker is being investigated. The notary Parker was suspended. The entire network collapsed. And it all started with my case, with my recording, with my decision not to stay silent. Ivan told me after the sentence, "Mr. Reynolds, you saved many families, without even knowing it, just by fighting, just by refusing to disappear." Robert tried to talk to me after the sentence. He sent me messages. He called. He even came to the house. He knocked on the door. "Dad, please, I need to talk to you." I was inside, listening. "Dad, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I made a mistake, a horrible mistake. But I'm still your son. I'm still Robert, please." He knocked for 10 minutes. Then he gave up. He left, and I stayed there, on the other side of the door, with tears in my eyes. Because it did hurt. Of course it hurt. He was my son, my blood. But Teresa told me something once, many years ago, when Robert was a teenager and had lied to us about something. I don't remember what, but I remember what Teresa said. "Frank, family is not who shares your blood. Family is who stays, who chooses to stay, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. That is real family." And she was right, as always. Now I visit Celeste every week. We go out for lunch. She pays because I still don't have much money. But I bring dessert, always, homemade cookies, or a cake I bake on my old stove. And we talk, about everything, about nothing. She tells me about her work, about her boyfriends, about her dreams, and I listen, like a grandfather. Because that's what I am to her now, and she is like a granddaughter to me. The family I chose, the family that stayed. I also visit Ivan, in his office. We drink coffee, and he tells me about his cases, about other people like me, who are fighting against children, against siblings, against families who betrayed them. And I send them messages through Ivan. Don't give up. You matter. Your life matters. Fight. And some of them do, and they win, and they write to me afterwards, thanking me. And I tell them, don't thank me, thank yourselves for being brave. A month ago, Ivan asked me something. Mr. Reynolds, there is a support group for older adults who are victims of family abuse. They meet every Thursday in a church downtown. Would you like to go? Maybe speak, share your story, give hope to others. I went. The first time I just listened. There were about 20 people, all over 60, all with the same looks, the same stories. Children who stole, families who betrayed, lives that were destroyed. And when it was my turn to speak, I didn't know what to say. I stayed silent, frozen. But then a lady, Mrs. Rose, took my hand. Tell us. Don't be afraid. We all understand here. And I did. I told everything, from the beginning. And when I finished, everyone was crying. But not out of sadness, out of something else. Recognition, validation, knowing they weren't alone. Now I go every Thursday, and every time I talk a little more. I share what I learned, what I survived. And some listen to me and decide to fight. Others just need to know that they are not crazy, that what happened to them was real and bad, and that it wasn't their fault. The day before yesterday, a lady, Mrs. Nancy, thanked me. Mr. Reynolds, thanks to your story, I dared to report my daughter. Today, I got my house back. I got my life back. And she hugged me, hard, and I cried because I realized something. My pain was not in vain. My suffering served a purpose, to save myself and to save others. And that somehow gives meaning to everything. Teresa used to say, Frank, life throws tests at you, and sometimes you pass them, and sometimes you don't. But the important thing is not whether you pass or not. It's what you learn, and what you do with it. And I learned. I learned that dignity is non-negotiable, that love does not justify abuse, that forgiving does not mean forgetting, and that sometimes letting go is the only way to survive. The security camera is still there, in the corner of the ceiling. The little red light is still blinking. Sometimes I look at it, and I thank it, because that camera saved my life. Teresa installed it without knowing that someday it would be my only defense, my only proof, my only voice when no one would listen to me. And in a way, it was Teresa saving me, even after she died, even when she was gone, because that was the kind of woman she was. She thought of everything. She prepared for everything, even for the worst. And she left me the tools to survive, to fight, to win. Sometimes I talk to her, out loud. Teresa, I did it. I survived. I don't know how, but I did it. And I feel like she hears me, from somewhere, and that she is proud. A week ago, Robert came back. He knocked on the door again, this time with a letter. He left it in the mailbox. I read it that night. It said, Dad, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I destroyed everything. But I want you to know that every day I regret it. Every day I wake up, and I remember what I did. And I hate myself. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just hope that someday you can remember me as I was before. When I was a kid, when you still loved me, when we were still a family. I love you. I have always loved you, even if it doesn't seem like it. Robert. I read the letter 3 times, and then I put it away, in a drawer, along with the old photos of Robert as a child, the few I recovered. I didn't throw it away, but I didn't reply either, because I still don't know what to say. I still don't know if there is anything to say. Maybe someday. Maybe never. I don't know. And it's okay not to know. Last night I had a dream. I was in my house, but it wasn't empty. It was full. With all the furniture, with all of Teresa's things. And she was there, alive, smiling. "Frank, why are you crying?" she asked me. "Because I miss you. Because everything is so hard without you, I know. But you're doing well, you're fighting, you're living. That's what matters. And Robert? Robert chose his path. You can't save him. Only he can save himself. Your job was to be his father, and you were. Good or bad you were, and that's that. Now your job is to be you. Live your life. Be happy. For you, for me, for everyone who loves you." I woke up crying, but also smiling, because she was right. Teresa was always right. My job was no longer to be Robert's father. That was over. Now my job was to be Frank. And that was enough. Today is Thursday. Group meeting day. I am getting ready to go out. I put on a clean shirt. I comb my hair. I look at myself in the mirror. And I see a different man. Not the one I was 3 months ago. That man was broken, destroyed, without hope. This man has scars. He has pain. He has memories that will never fade. But he also has strength. He has dignity. He has purpose. And that, after all, is more than I thought I would have. I leave the house. I close the door. With a key. Always with a key. Because Robert no longer has a copy. He no longer has access. He no longer has power over me. And I walk toward the bus stop, with my head held high, with the sun on my face, with the certainty that I survived, and that in itself is a victory. If Robert ever comes back, I will be here, in my house, with my things, with my life rebuilt, and the door will be closed, not with rage, not with hatred, just with boundaries, with the certainty that some doors, once closed, must stay that way, to protect us, to heal us, to remind us that we deserve respect, even from our own blood, especially from our own blood. And if that makes me bad, if that makes me cruel, so be it. Because I learned that taking care of yourself is not selfishness. It is survival. And I chose to survive. And you? What would you do if something like this happened to you? Have you ever had to choose between forgiveness and protecting your dignity? Have you ever been betrayed by someone who swore to love you? Tell me in the comments. I want to know your story. I want to know I'm not alone in this. If this story touched your heart, leave me a like. Share this video. Subscribe to the channel because every week I share real stories that could be yours. Stories of pain, but also of hope, of falling, but also of getting back up. And never forget this. Family is not who shares your blood. Family is who stays, who chooses to stay, even when everything collapses. That is the family that is worth it. Thank you for listening to me until the end. See you in the next story. Take care. And remember, your life matters. Always.